Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Board Game Heaven Talks Accessories. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to take a look at these lovely thematic dice sets by Polyhero Dice. You can find these on polyhero.com, and they had a very successful Kickstarter in January 2021, and I had backed one of their previous Kickstarters. I got the Wizards set, and Polyhero Dice sent me some of these other sets to review. Now, before I take a closer look at those, I'd like to point you towards my Patreon page, because if you like to support what I do, you can do so for as little as just $1 a month or more, and you will get your name in the credits of all of my videos, as well as access to some Patreon exclusive videos and early access to all of my videos on YouTube. All right, let's take a closer look. So here is the Wizards set. It's a 8-piece set. All of these thematic class sets come with 8 pieces. So you have your classic D20. You've got a D12, which is a scepter or wand here. You've got a D8, which is this scroll. We have 2 D10s here, these potions. We have a D6, fireball or whatever kind of spell it is, a D4 bolt, and this one also has a spell tome, which is a D2. Now, for comparison, here are some regular polyhedral dice. So you can see that they are quite big and chunky. This is a regular D20, so you can see the size difference there. They're nice and chunky. These are the regular D10s here that you could use. The D12 here, that will be this one. And well, we'll take a closer look at those in a bit. So just to have a little bit of a comparison there, these are the regular counterparts for those dice. So they're nice and chunky. These are transparent. There are also some opaque colors, marbled colors that you can choose from. And I kind of like these. So let's take a closer look at all of these. Let me just get rid of these dice. So here you see the D20, and so it has a nice font for the letters. Looks really cool, a bit arcane. Has a lot of sculpted detail on the sides here. You will notice that there are some lines running across, if it will stay focused, all of these surfaces. And I guess that's just a result of the material maybe shrinking. I'm not entirely sure, but you can see these little almost like cracks, and they're very, very shallow. They're very superficial, but because this is transparent, you can see it more clearly. I've checked other dice. They do occur on most of them, but you don't really see them on the opaque dice, and especially if they're marbled, and I'll show you that in a bit. But when you have transparent ones, and especially this one, since it's almost completely clear, you see that a bit more clearly, but it doesn't really bother me, and you only see it in a certain light. So if that is something that does bother you, I would go for the opaque colored dice, or maybe very strongly colored. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. It's probably just a material. But again, it's very superficial, so it's only on the surface, it seems. So I guess that's just the material shrinking or whatever. But it's pretty cool. This is the scepter or the wand, as you can see. The D12, there's the 12. And of course that will work because it's got a pointy end, you know, raised end on one side when there's a flat one on the other. So it will kind of just tumble like this, and either be on the left or the right side will have a number up. So there's a 12 here and a ridge there, and like this, oh, just one over, you got a 4 here and a ridge there. So that is of course the number that you rolled. The scroll here, let me get that into focus. Again, you can see the lines that go across it just a little bit. That's your D8, which is also pretty cool. And again, that just rolls, and one side will land up, and that's the number that you rolled. You can see these lines here. So yeah, The very transparent ones do have that, but it doesn't really bother me. I kind of liked the light color of this with the blue letters. So here we have one of the D10s, one of these potions. Of course, the 0 will count as the 10 in a regular roll. And then there's another potion which has the same faces, and you can decide which one, which die is the tens, and which one is the single digits. And then just roll them, and whatever comes up, you know, if you roll them like this, and this, the tall bottle is the tens, and the lower, you know, the edge at the bottom is the single ones, and you roll like this would be 96, for example. So that's also pretty cool. We have the D4 bolt here, just a spell effect. It's pretty cool. And we have this magic, you know, bowl of whatever it is, an ice blast, or if you have the red ones, you could have a fireball, which is the standard D6. And then, of course, this tome is very simple. It's just a 1 and a 2. What is it? Really nice sculpted detail in that. And I have some others of these in other colors, which I will show you later, and you can see the detail a lot better. So there you go, the Wizard set. This is the Cleric set, another set of 8 dice for your Cleric characters or whatever. And I got I believe this was called the Sunstorm, which is kind of like orange and yellow gold, which I kind of liked for a Cleric. And it again has different denominations. It has 2 D20s, which are these sensors. It's pretty cool. You can see the color variation here, going from nice orange, gold to yellow. And these are pretty chunky. And again, let me compare that with a regular D20. So you can see they're about twice as big. Nice and chunky dice. And well, you know, you just roll them, and whatever number comes up, 20, that's what you roll. So you get 2 of those. So that's different from the Wizard set, which had 1 D20. I mean, sometimes you need to have multiple dice, and that is handy if you have advantage. Maybe the Cleric has some kind of attribute or attribute where you roll D20s more often than just one of them. It's been a while since I played a Cleric. Then we have a nice chalice here, which is the D12. And again, you just roll that, and whatever comes up at the top is the number you roll. So it looks really nice. So we have that. Then we have this potion here, which could be a healing potion or something else, which is the D8. And that also just rolls, and whatever comes up is what you rolled. And we have these 2 holy symbols, which are the D10s. We have this this holy symbol, the sun burst, if you will, which looks kind of cool. It has 5 numbers on this side and 5 on that. So you don't spin it, you just toss it really. And whichever side ends up is the number that you roll. And then we have this diabolical one, which is kind of like a pentagram on both sides. Same thing really, also pretty chunky. So you just toss it and see what comes up. Then we have the mace, a typical weapon for a Cleric, which is the D6. There you go. So, you know, the numbers are not in order, which is good. I guess it doesn't really matter, but to randomize it a bit more, I guess. And we have this Warhammer, which is pretty cool. I really like that one, which has these knobs here. So that means, you know, if you toss it, it'll end up with either this or this side up because of that knob. And the one that ends up highest would be the number you roll. So that's also pretty cool. This is the Warrior set, which is again an 8-piece set for your warrior classes, which comes with 2 d20s, a d12, d8, 2 d10s, a d6, and a d4. Again, for comparison, here is a regular d20, a d12, and d8, some d10s, a d6, and a d4, just so you can get an idea of the size. And again, they're pretty chunky and pretty nice looking. And this is again a translucent set. This is the Wraith Knight set, which I kind of liked. So let's take a closer look. As you can see, it's a spiked ball, which I rather liked, which works exactly like a regular d20, with the numbers all painted in silver. This does have some mold lines, as you can see. Has some, if we'll focus on that, you can see some mold lines here and there. And again, the stripes that sometimes pop up here and there across the surface. Again, because this is a very clear, transparent color that I got for this one. But I really enjoy rolling this thing. It's just a big spiky ball, which looks really cool. And you get 2 of that, so that's pretty nice as well. Then the D12 is a helmet, as you can see, which is pretty thematic, pretty nice for your knight. And again, you just roll that, and you have all these numbers on the sides. I don't know, I wondered about balancing, but I guess, I mean, if you look at the back, you have a certain length of this side, so a certain amount of material here, and you have some extra material here where the neck is, but they also take out some material for the visor. So I guess that evens out weight-wise, so it won't always land like with this on the bottom or this. I'm pretty sure I hope that they weighed this. I mean, all the other dice that I've seen so far were very much symmetrical. And this is really the first one that is not. But, I mean, you can roll that, and I never really had a problem with, you know, one side coming up more than the other. It seems to roll just fine. And it's, of course, it's more like a novelty set of dice, but they do work. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's the D8, which is a mace. Big looking mace. Really cool. Nice detail on the handle as well. So we have that. Then I particularly like these. These are 2 gauntlets, as you can see. A left and a right one even. So they made 2 different molds for these, which is awesome. So these gauntlets, which is pretty nice. And of course, you have the numbers on them. And one of these has the dots. So I'm guessing you can use the ones with the dots as the 10s and the one without as the singular digits. Because usually they use a dot to point out that that is the bottom. So that's a 6 and not a 9, and vice versa. But they put them on all of them. And not on these. So I guess that's meant for making sure that one of them is your 10s, and because otherwise you'd have to look which is the left hand and which is the right, and that would be confusing. So that's good that there's a difference there. Then we have the sword here, which is a D6. It's pretty cool. Again, pretty straightforward with the numbers on the sides. You just roll it, and whatever comes up is your result. And the same with the dagger. Here is a D4 dagger with the nice silver painted numbers in it. And these, I don't really notice any lines in these that much, just in the D20s really, because I looked at this again in detail quite a bit, and I couldn't really discover any of those odd lines in this one. This one looks really smooth. So, well, I don't know, it's probably just a mold. Well, let's take a look at the next set. This is the Rogue set, which is an opaque set in my case, and you can get them in different colors, of course. But this is the Nightshade set, which is basically almost completely black. It's kind of like anthracite, very dark gray. And yeah, so it has two D20 kegs, powder kegs here, these little barrels with the explodey symbol on them. And yeah, you just, you roll those. Let me just roll it. And again, whichever number comes up on the higher side of the middle is the number that you roll. And I don't know if you might have a chance to actually roll it like this. See, it's critical hit, but yeah, probably just roll it again. But I'm guessing that's going to be very rare. It hasn't happened to me. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I really like that thematic little barrels there. And again, let me just show you a regular set of dice, just so you can see the sizes. So that's D8 over here. We got D10s over here. Got a D6 and a D4. So again, nice and chunky. Looks really cool. All right, let's take a closer look at the D12, which is a gem. A nice black diamond here. And yeah, looking good. Gold numbers. And one of them has a little bit of a faded one over there, but I guess I can easily fix that with some paint. This looks really good. I cannot discover any of those strange mold lines on this material. As you can see by the reflection in the light, it is completely smooth, very smooth surface. So I don't know if it's the color that they pick, because this is completely, well, almost black, but completely opaque. And yeah, it doesn't seem to have that issue, if you want to call it that. It does, however, more quickly show some wear. These opaque ones seem to have, you know, if you use them a lot and they are in a bag of dice and they bump into each other, you can get little scratches. And the opaque ones show them a bit more quickly than the transparent ones, but that literally happens on my regular dice as well. It's hard to tell on these because they're marbled. I've got a big chunky one here, a big black die, and that one also shows some scuffing, some wear from just being in a bag with other dice. And well, that's just what happens if you toss them all together. But of course you can keep them apart in their own little baggies, but they will still be together in a bag. I mean, that's just what's gonna happen. And I kind of like that your dice show some wear from having used them. But yeah, that's just what happens. This one is an arrow or a crossbow bolt, and that's your D8. Has 4 sides on the arrow pointy end and 4 sides where the fletches are, the fletching. And yeah, you just roll that, and of course the number that's up top is what you roll. Then we have 2 loot bags, which I always really like, particularly because, you know, you're a rogue, you steal money. So we have this loot bag, again with the dots, and it's a different sculpt from this one. Look at how nice and shiny they are, reflecting the light. So that's pretty cool. You could even paint the coins in here. There's some molded coins, as you can see. You could paint those gold, or silver and gold and bronze, and perhaps even the ropes, if you really want to. But as you can see, these are really smooth. No lines from the mold here. Well, you can see the mold lines, this cross here, which is just the shape of the mold, but nothing across the surface really. So yeah, I'm guessing that has to do with the material or the color that they use. This is a poison bottle, which is really cool with the teeth here, and it kind of looks like a skull. If you look closer, it will focus. You can see the nose cavity there, and the two eyes, and the numbers and the teeth, and no matter how you roll it. So that's like cool poison bottle theme there. And that's your D6, looking really cool. And again, a dagger. And yeah, nice black dagger. That's your D4. And there you go. All right. Next we have some non-class sets, if you will, just some sets of the same mold collected together. These are the D6 swords. You can get a set of 6 D6 swords, which they do call a warrior set, but it's more like, you know, you just get 6 D6s. And these are the Cleric Bless dice, which are 8 D4s. I got these in steel gray and in healing hard red, because, you know, I like to use these as healing potions, because in D&D, for healing potions, you often have to roll a number of D4s, which these are, so that's pretty cool. And looking closely, you can see it's just a little bottle, potion bottle, nice detail. Really like that. And it's kind of like a marbled, darker red. And again, because this is marbled and opaque, I cannot see any of those strange lines. And they might be hidden because of the marbled effect, but yeah, I can't really tell if this color and this material has those lines, so that's good. Same goes for the steel gray. Well, I think I can see some of those lines, but it might just be the marbling as well. It has a really 3D effect. Almost looks like this metal is like shattered and broken, you know, like it's cracked, but it's not. This is completely smooth. As you can see from the light when I hold it up against the light. So that's a really deep marbling effect, which I kind of like. So you have those D6s. All right, let's check out another set. Okay, so these are the 3 D20 gems, which they call the Rogue set, in Ruby, Emerald, and Sapphire. So 3 colors. That's just a pack of 3 in these 3 colors that you can order. They're all D20s. And the level up pack spellbooks. So you can get a D2 spellbook. They usually, at the Kickstarter, they sold them in sets of 2, where you would always get 1 color of your choice and 1 silver one. But they come in lots of different colors. This one was from my wizard set. I just got it again. So just you can see the difference in color and, of course, the detail. So let's take a look at this one, for example. So you can see this is a marbled purple with a turquoise number on it. It's almost looks like it's glow in the dark. I actually don't know. I haven't tested it, but that would be really cool. But here you can see the nice molded detail in the cover of the book. Actually has a clasp here. You can see the pages, and on the back you have this. On the front you have the circle, and on the back you have kind of like this ornate kind of circle, and the back of the book with the binding. So that's really cool. And on the top you also see the pages in the bottom. So there's a lot of detail in the mold here, and yeah, I really like this color. That's a really cool marbled purple. Look at how shiny that is. That's super cool. So here's the silver one, which also has the marbled silver, more or less. And yeah, so this one also does not seem to have any of those odd lines. Maybe just a little, but it's really hard to tell because of the marbled look, of course. Oh, get that back in focus. But that's really cool. So those are just your D2s, and then the D20s are these. Now, these are fully transparent, colored dice. Pretty much the standard transparent dice that you see often. And these are the only ones, except for the, well, maybe the black one over here from the, which is not a D20. This is the, what was it, a D12 from the Rogue set, which was opaque. And this is transparent. But that one was one of the few ones that showed some wear on the surface. And this one has that too. You can see that clearly here. And I guess that's simply due to the fact that when these are produced, they're all tossed together in big bags or buckets of dice before being sorted into their individual packaging. And this material seems to scuff a bit easier. Maybe it's also because of the weight, because this is a bigger one. Again, with the regular D20, you can see how much bigger this is. And maybe because they're heavier, they just bump into each other a bit more fiercely. I don't know. But you can see some scratches, really. It's, again, very superficial. You can't actually feel it, but it shows. And when you have a transparent die, it just shows a bit more easily. You can see the mold lines again here, which kind of look like there's like hairs on them or something. These hairlines. And these are the only ones that show that so well, really. You get like a little bit lighter, a little bit whitish lines from rubbing together. But again, I could not see any of that on the opaque ones. So I guess that's just the material you choose. But this is really cool though. Look at how nice it reflects the light and how shiny that is. So yeah, this is the green one. Again, does have some wear. And there's even a little bit of a discoloration here in one of these mold lines. So yeah, and these you kind of just, you turn, right? And then whatever comes up at the top, in this case the 9, it's close to the 20. That's your rule. And this has white lettering, and these have gold. Here's the red one, the ruby, and here you can see again a little bit of that scuffing. But I do like them. I do like them. I just like that they are, you know, like actual gems. That's pretty cool. All right. And lastly, I have this cool set, which is possibly my favorite. It's the D4 Hallowed hand grenade in merciful gold this time, which is yeah, sold in a set of 5, which is, of course, looks a lot like the Holy hand grenade from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I really enjoy that. And here again is a D20 and a D4 for reference. So they're, you know, nice and chunky. They're bigger than a D20. They have the cross on the top as well. Let's take a closer look. So they have the nice molded detail on the rivets here surrounding this artifact. And it can kind of like, it can tip like this or like this, but doesn't matter because the number is the same. Obviously, they couldn't have made this a D8 because of the cross, because that side would be heavier, you know, when held in the middle. That one is always going to be the side that falls down. So they made them D4s, which is also pretty cool. Yeah, because 3 is the number that I should count. Not to 4, and 5 is right out. That's pretty cool. It just looks really nice. And it is in a marbled gold. And again, you know, if I look really closely, it's hard to make out if those black lines are the actual marbling effect, or that they also have that just tiny little hair lines on the surface. I can kind of feel them if I rub my nail across it, but, and probably the fact that those lines are there is also the reason why it colors differently. That's where the pigment might bunch up, you know, what might gather, I don't know. But again, because it's marbled, it doesn't bother me in the least. It actually adds to the effect. And yeah, looks really nice. All right, those were all the Polyhero dice. And those were some of the Polyhero dice sets. If you like these and you'd like to get a set yourself, check out their website at polyhero.com. I'd also like to thank them for sending over some of these sets to review. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support what I do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.